If you're just starting out with broken links, it can be a bit of a challenge. There's multiple ways that you can find them. So I just want to do a very, very kind of quick video, a quick roundup of just how we can start looking for them, how I typically fix them, and a couple of tools that you use to identify and fix them also as well. So first thing you need to do is get Google Search Console set up. If you've got this set up, you typically have to wait a little bit of time for the data to populate on there if it's a new site. What I'd recommend is give it maybe a week or so, and that'll give it plenty of time to kind of crawl the full site and give you some key information around the indexing, page experience, and also things like schema markup and all that good stuff. So first thing you go to is pages, and then make sure all known pages are shown here. Scroll at the bottom, and the error you're looking for is not found 404. So this typically means that there's a link somewhere on the site, or Google's identified a URL which isn't physically there. So as you can see here, there's one. This link is currently serving a 404. So what I typically do is two things. First one is I look at the page, which when you click this box, will open up in a new page. I've actually fixed this error, so I've set up a redirect. So rather than that hit a page where it says page not found, I've literally redirected it back to the main blog post. So that's the first thing I would typically do is look at the 404, see if this page is needed. I know I deleted this page. It's no longer needed. It's not really content that I wanted to push. So it's completely deleted, and I've set a redirect when I've deleted that blog post as well now. So second step is you need to kind of work on any traces of that link. So for example, if I had this blog post say on the sidebar, or it was part of the main navigation, I don't want to be pushing users over to a URL that is either 404 or redirected. I'd rather point them over to a page which is more suitable. So I'd look for a separate page which, although it's not the original content, it's the next best thing on the site. So done that, redirected back to the main blog post because I've got no other relevant pages. And now I'm trying to find out where this page is linked from. So from Google Search Console, see where Google's identified it, basically click the link, inspect URL, and what this effectively does is it pings the Google index and it'll give you information around where this page was, so what's referring it to the page. You can also see that the last time it looked at it was 17th of September, so it's quite a while ago. And when it looked at that, it was a 404, hence why the error is there. So two things that I do. Firstly is I'll look at the URLs that are linking to it. So I'll open these up in a new tab. So this page looks like it's linking to it. How do you find it? So copy this page here, and then you basically look at the source code. So right click, show page source, and then you do a Control F. So I've fixed this in the previous fix when I set up the redirect. But what you typically find is when you search it, it may come up as if there's like a link potentially somewhere on here. So if you search it, so it might have like something like this, for example, ahref equals, and then obviously the URL that we're trying to switch. So I would know that this particular text is linking to it. I know what to change on the website to remove that link as well. So that's one way to view the page source. So it's not present on that page, and it's not present on that page. Let's have a quick look. So view page source again. So these are the two pages that Google says that's physically here with. Just make sure that I'm getting the right URL, which is this one. And Control F. Yeah, so it's been removed from this page as well. So yeah, both traces have been fixed. And then the next thing that I do is request indexing, which sounds counterintuitive, but what it effectively does is it puts this URL in the queue for Google to recrawl. So as you can see, it was only September when it was last looked at. And this will basically trigger Google to go back to the site, identify that it's not a 404 anymore, and it's actually a 301. The other way you can do this as well is within the error page, you can do verify verify fix, which will then trigger Google again to recrawl the site. So I guess with there being two links there potentially that Google can see, I'd firstly try and get it to recrawl that page, but then I'd also perhaps look at flushing these URLs through as well. So create a new tab. That's one link where Google says it can find the URL, and this is the second one. So I'd basically just look at any of the last crawl date from these two pages. So it's November 12th, quite recent. So it looks like it's identified the link's no longer there. And the last crawl, I know it was fixed before then, so I'm expecting it to be flushed through imminently as well. So that wouldn't show on there anytime soon as well. And same with this one, 15th of November again. So it was only yesterday that it was crawled. So what I suspect would happen here is over the course of the next couple of weeks, this would drop down to 0. And what I would see is this go to 36. So I know from a user experience perspective, 301 redirects, pages of redirects, give a better user experience than a 404 because we pass them over to the next more suitable page that we can identify. So yeah, you can see here, typically there's a validate fix button here, which I pressed, and then I'd expect to see that kind of move over the coming days, weeks potentially as well. So that deals with that in Search Console. Another tool we can use is either something called Screaming Frog or something called Cyborg. Just for the purpose of this, I want to do a Cyborg audit. So I've basically just created a new project. Both pro tools have a free trial period, and with Screaming Frog particularly, you get a free version of it, I think, when you crawl under 500 URLs. So if you're operating with quite a small site, dead easy and cheap to run as well. So I'm just going to toggle some of these off just to get it run as quickly as possible. So yeah, basically I'm going to crawl the website, and just for the purposes, I'm going to delimit the URLs and go to 8 threads as well, which basically speeds it up dramatically just for the purpose of this audit. So what Cyborg does is it will crawl every page on the website. I'll effectively have a checklist in the background, which will compare the site again. So if it accesses a URL which physically isn't there, it's broken, or if there's something around like page titles missing, H1 tags missing, the full SEO checklist, it gives you really good visibility on that. So it's not the only tool you need, but it complements a lot of other tools that I use. So just as that's kind of finishing up there, you would typically use this just to kind of give bigger sites a full audit, because this is doing far more work in the space of the last 30 seconds or whatever's been running than it would take me probably for a full day. So it looks at basic HTML elements and presents it back in a really, really good format. Obviously pleased to see these scores was working in SEO, which is good. So indexability is amber, but we'll just work through all the errors. So URL get method, that's fine. What we're looking for specifically here is broken internal URLs. So let's have a look and see what's there. So I've created that test broken link here, so I can see that it's a 404, and I can see that's physically present on here. So let's copy this URL, head over to the actual page itself, and then see where the problem is. So we know that the URL that was broken has test broken link in there. Okay, so again, we'll go back and we'll do a test. Sorry, on this one, see that search bar, test broken link. Oh, wrong page. DMA. So it's Nicholas. Nope, it wasn't. It was this one. Didn't copyright. There we go. So what we're looking for is that test broken, which is there. So what I can see is ahref, that's the link that's broken. And then just after this bracket here, we can see between 12 and 4 p.m. So I'd go back to search on this page for between 12 and 4 p.m. Hover over there and see the link's there, and that leads to a 404. So I'd basically edit the post and remove that link, or point to the most relevant page. For the sake of this, I've got no page to point out, just a different example, but I'd basically just remove that link altogether, update the page, and that's fixed. That's how we deal typically with broken links when the 404. Use Search Console, for any legacy ones, because Google's quite slow at reporting these. If you want to do more of a robust audit, go over to Screaming Frog and Cyborg. The last part note, I guess, with this is it's a progressive error, meaning that if you don't deal with it, it tends to accumulate as well over time as you add new content to the site, URLs change, and the key things I look for are broken links and like the navigation, really prominent links that people are clicking. And if you really want to get fancy, and you're more technically experienced, you can add things like 404 monitors on the server or as part of the CMS, where it'll actually give you reciprocal information back to say the user's triggered a 404. Things with WordPress and I think Yoast as well, where you have like 404 monitors and things like that as well. So yeah, it's there's a bit of a process to it. It's a find and fix error where once you fix it once, you typically have to go back and fix it again unless you change the URL structure. And it's one of them BAU tasks that are really important for SEO, especially over time when you've got like tens of thousands of potential pages there. And there could be a significant amount of broken links, which are causing a nuisance to the users, but also to Google, who try and identify all the pages on your site and hitting 404s at various places. And so I do a combination of Search Console and Cyborg where possible, and that should give you a really good, robust round insight into what's broken where and ultimately how you fix it as well.